Violence in Animations by Peter Lee. I'll start off by talking about codes and conventions in several examples of animations. The first example is adult comedy animations. Non-existent temporal edits are a staple to adult comedy animations.
Do not open that box.
You know, Lois, physicists believe there are two alternate universes. One in which I don't open the box, and one in which I do. I'm not going to open the box. I'm going to open the box. Ah, sweet, it's a whip!
The universe where Peter Griffin gets shot is not true to the flow of time. It is purely an imagination of what could have happened. Unlike TV shows with an overarching storyline, the story of adult comedy animations do not need to make sense. Many scenes like the one shown are purely built to be ironic and have over-exaggerated violence, and not having temporal edits assists this goal. Main characters of adult comedy animations tend to have unrealistic character durability.
Out of my office. You have to kiss my give me the thing.
From this clip of Rick and Morty, Rick should have definitely got serious injuries from being hit by that statue and being thrown around, but as we saw at the end, he sustained no injuries. We typically see this in adult comedy animations because the characters are animated. Having animated characters allows for more unrealistic durability because the audience does not assume that these characters should have realistic attributes. Slapstick is humor from over-exaggerated and extreme physical activities. This typically includes violence. Because slapstick is so symbolic for humor, it is used in many adult comedy animations.
Just give me the rope. Nobody has to get hurt, Brian. Only one person has to get hurt, Brian. All right, I warned you.
Both the child who is biking and Brian, the dog, were used for slapstick humor. Because the characters are animated in adult comedy animations, they are able to exceed normal physical boundaries and add more extreme violence. Because of this, slapstick is often seen in adult comedy animations to increase the comedic aspect. I'll be talking about the codes and conventions in Eastern animations next. Although Eastern animations have a variety of different types of animations, I'll be focusing on the ones with heavy violence. Powers and/or abilities are typically found in many Eastern animations. Powers and abilities are conventionally used to create a heavier impact and extreme violence. For example, if the spear thrower in the clip did not have extreme strength, then the impact of the spear would not be the same. Rhythmic edits are typically used in Eastern animations for better pacing. They use different shots, different angles of the camera, they also use different movements of the camera, and they also match the shots to the music. At this point, the extreme movement of his hand matches an intense part of the song. Just like adult comedy animations, the characters of Eastern animations are, animated. And because they are animated, it allows for the characters to be unrealistically deformed. These deformations are typically used to show the brutal and relentless effects of violence. Next will be about children's superhero animations. There are typically secret identities in superhero animations. They are usually used so the villains don't get to know the personal life of the superhero. One could say that they're hiding their identities so they don't get charged for the violence they induce. Having a hero and a villain is an integral part of children's superhero animations. It is typically used to help the plot of the animation. Although, the villain is usually used to make the fighting of the hero seem justified. Just like in Eastern animations, powers and abilities are symbolic to children's superhero animations. These powers and abilities are used to create engaging scenes and more impactful events. And inevitably, violence becomes more extreme. Now, I'll be talking about ideologies. One thing I've noticed is that age ratings have lowered significantly. Shows like Family Guy, that are dubbed adult comedy animations, are now rated TV-14. This applies for Eastern animations as well. This means that the younger demographic is exposed to these graphical images at a younger age. This shows that our society is evolving and realizing that the age rating system may be flawed. Some may believe that the violence is unnecessary in these animations. They believe that violence should not be used for humor, violence should not be as intense, and children are way too young to watch anything violent. Although those opinions should be respected, they should realize that different people enjoy different things. Some may enjoy dark humor, and others may enjoy big fights with explosions. Going back to codes and conventions, people may expect these animations to have violence because they're conventionally known to have violent scenes. Now, I'll be speaking of some of the messages that these animations show that relate to violence and problem solving. Adult comedy animations may spread the message that violence is comedic and not that serious. These animations could spread the message that violence leads to solving conflict. In this scene, Mr. Incredible throws his boss to relieve his stress. As we saw before with the Family Guy scene, alternate outcomes is a message that is exhibited by adult comedy animations. It shows us a more violent approach and a non-violent approach to the situation. Eastern animations may spread the message that violence leads to more power. For example, Goku reaches Super Saiyan 1 in his fight against Frieza. Next, I will speak of the audiences. Adult comedy animations are targeted towards adults, but nowadays, many teenagers are becoming part of the audience. Eastern animations are targeted towards teenagers and adults. And, well, obviously, children's superhero animations are targeted towards children. The ideologies exhibited by these animations impact the audience. Obviously, these animations have an entertainment value within them. Adult comedy animations are comedic, Eastern animations have beautiful fight sequences and artwork, and children's superhero animations have bright colors and teach good moral lessons. Most adults have already mentally matured, so the violent slapstick used in adult comedy animations would not affect the psychology of this audience. This goes for the violent fight scenes in Eastern animations as well. The teenage audience of these two types of animations may become more aggressive, but there's very little research proving this fact. However, there's a lot of proof showing that the violence in children's superhero animations affects the psychology of children under 10. It is proven that children idolize these animated characters and copy the violence that they perform. Many audiences try to justify the violence that occurs in these animations. Violence may seem common and acceptable to children because they are told that it's for the greater good. And the heavier violence in adult comedy animations and Eastern animations are justified for entertainment purposes when, in actuality, that may not be the case. Exploitation. Production companies such as Netflix and Warner Home Video use violence to grab the attention of more people. Having more people watching their stuff means they make more money. Merchandise companies make toys or figures for these animations to make money. They want violence because their toys are used to roleplay fighting and their figures are posed in violent scenes. Violence attracts more customers to their companies and makes them more money. I will talk about some of the norms that are broken in adult comedy animations, Eastern animations, and children's superhero animations. Inside Job has temporal edits. It does not really allow for that extreme violence that other adult comedy animations has because it has a proper flow of time. There's no blood in The Simpsons, which makes it less brutal. The characters in Vinland Saga do not have realistic durability. This leads to more gore and extreme violence. The characters in Cowboy Bebop do not have powers, which mean that those violent and big fights do not occur. Kung Fu Panda does not have a secret identity. Honestly, this leads more villains to come after him and creates more fights. The main character of this movie, Megamind, is the villain to society. Having the protagonist be a villain creates more destructive violence. None of these animations got critiqued because they broke the conventional norm. Many people enjoyed the uniqueness of these animations, and the added or decreased violence within. Thank you for listening.